So here we are, 93R. This commentary will have 3 parts in total. The first part will be about the performance of the weapon itself, the second part will be about pistol balance, and the last part will be about top-up gifts. So first, a summary of the basic stats. It has a magazine capacity of 21 rounds and 5 magazines in total, which makes for the best capacity of all pistols and also best ammunition in total of all pistols. So kinda good start. And it has a reload time of 2 seconds, which is actually kind of short even for pistols. It is only to be topped by the basic version of the M1911 and the P226 with a reload time of 1.8 seconds. So quite good. Most other pistols have 2.1 seconds reload time. The velocity is actually quite high with 800 meters per second, but that's not really important for a pistol because you're going to use that type of weapons only in close quarter. At least that is where it makes sense, so you're not getting too much out from the high velocity. So nice to have, but not really required. The delay to use accounts for 0.3 seconds, which means you can draw this weapon pretty fast and it allows you to use it in emergency situations. For example, when you're in a situation where you would not want to use your primary weapon like a LMG with bad hipfire, you can just switch to your pistol. Even when you're already facing the enemy, the delay to use still allows you to use and draw the weapon fast enough in most of the situations. So that's actually kind of cool with the flexibility that you have there. And it's similar for the ADS time. That accounts for 0.08 seconds, so pretty fast to aim the weapon. It's actually kind of close to the time that you need to perform the eye blink. So yeah, pretty fast. So there's not any type of aggravation with that. As a new aspect, this weapon brings an alternate firing mode, 3-round burst, whereas all other pistols have semi-automatic fire so far. And yeah, the advantage should be pretty much straightforward. By having a 3-round burst, it's easier to operate this weapon in close quarters because you don't need to click that much as compared to other pistols, and it's easier to get out a high volume of fire. Of course, there's also the counter argument of potentially wasting ammunition, but yeah, in close quarters you're probably going to have a slight overkill anyway, so it's not that bad if you waste 1 or 2 rounds, and you really want to make sure that your enemy is dead, because in close quarters it's all about damage per second, and if you don't dish out damage fast enough, you are toast. So, next aspect, rate of fire. That one is actually a bit complicated, not too much, but a bit. So what do we have? We have the basic unmodified rate of fire of 1800 rounds per minute, which you can find in the game files. But that is obviously way too high to be the real rate of fire. And the weapon comparison tool uses modifiers, and in case of pistols it's 0.66 repeating, which leads to a rate of fire of 1200 rounds per minute, but those modifiers or multipliers are more of an orientation. It's not official information from the developers, just value that the developer of the comparison tool decided to use. I did some measuring myself, and in the end I came to a rate of fire that is pretty close to 900 rounds per minute. And that would actually make sense because the FAMAS and the as well, which have the same unmodified rate of fire, also have a real rate of fire of 900 rounds per minute. So don't take it as granted, but if you're interested in what I think, 900 rounds per minute is probably the right rate of fire. Okay, next aspect, Recoil. Well, like all pistols, the 93R has aim return, so at first sight you would probably think, yeah, recoil is probably going to matter at all. But the 93R actually has a quite noticeable base recoil. Yeah, especially when compared to the MP4 or the M1911, for example. Those have a very light horizontal recoil, but the 93R actually has a bit of horizontal recoil. It can potentially pull 0.53 degree to the right or left when firing from the hip, and when aiming on sight by using the modifier of 0.65, it still can jump potentially 0.34 degree to the left or right. So especially in hipfire, the recoil might still be a bit noticeable, especially when coupled with the fact of the 3-round burst. ADS, it seems to be pretty much fine, at least for the ranges that you use a pistol for. Okay, next aspect, deviation. The 93R has the exact same hipfire deviation as the M9, MP4 P226 and Desert Eagle, and that's 1.44 when firing from the hip and 1.2 degree deviation when crouching. And if you ask me, that's not exactly accurate. It's usable when you're at point blank range, but you should definitely try to aim down sight when it's viable. As for ADS deviation, it's between the accurate and the spray and pray pistols, and by spray and pray I mean the M9, MP4 and P226, and by the accurate pistols I mean M1911 and the Rex. When standing, the ADS deviation accounts for 0.576 degree, and when crouching it accounts for 0.48 degree. Yeah, and that's like I said, kind of in the middle of it's in the middle of the spray and pray pistols and the accurate pistols, and pretty much fine for the ranges that you use your pistol for, but it's not really good on extreme ranges. As for firing deviation, the 93R has a maximum deviation gain of 3 degree, and it has gain per shot of 0.3 degree and a deviation recovery of 0.095 degree. That's actually the best relation between gain per shot and deviation recovery out of all pistols, or what is also called deviation settling time. But that's also kind of required to have that good relation, because with the high rate of fire you can easily get to maximum deviation if you just push down the trigger. And if, for example, the 93R would have the firing deviation of the Desert Eagle, it pretty much would be at maximum deviation gain after around 1 burst. The 93R has a magnification of 1.25, which is actually quite a bit of zoom, and at least in my opinion, that's actually not a type of zoom that you would need on a pistol. I mean, if it would be one, that would also be pretty much fine, and that magnification can actually be an obstacle in some situations where you would like to use ADS, but the zoom actually makes it kind of hard to line up the weapon with your target. So you should pretty much approach the situation that way, that you already have the aim on the enemy before you are aiming on sight, because otherwise it might be a bit of a hassle to actually aim for your enemy in close quarter situations. As for the damage, the 93R, like all pistols, has pretty weak long range damage, which is understandable because most pistols are very easy to operate on range recoil wise, and if they would have high damage, they pretty much would outgun most primary firing arms, which we had some time ago before the pistol and shotgun rebalance. But there's also another aspect. Most weapons have a body shot multiplier of 1 and headshot multiplier of 2.1 for damage, but for pistols it's different. For body shots they have a multiplier of 0.77 and for headshots a multiplier of 2.5. And that leads to the following damage values. It's 20 to 21 body shot damage for initial range, and headshots 65 to 70 damage. For medium damage at medium range of 12 meters, it is 16 to 19 damage for body shots and 52 to 62 for headshots. And when you go to long range, damage continues to drop down to 9 to 12 damage for body shots, and for headshots it's 30 to 40 at long range of 25 meters. So yeah, there's a pretty big difference between body shots and headshots, and it is also reflected in the guaranteed shots to kill. In this example I'm calculating with targets that have 110 HP but no body armor. 2 headshots earn you a kill until 9 meters. When you manage to get in 3 headshots, it's even a guaranteed kill until 20 meters. For body shots, though, it looks kind of different. First of all, a 5-shot body shot kill is totally impossible, and for 6 shot you are allowed to have a maximum distance of 9 meters. But the thing is, you are not allowed to miss a single shot in that scenario. So if you just miss one of your 6 shots, you need to fire a 3rd burst, and when you need to fire a 3rd burst you have almost used half of your magazine. And it's actually like that for most of the pistols. You basically have to get those headshots in for that critical damage, and because body shots just don't cut it. That's about it actually. In the case of the 93R, there might be some situations where you can get away with the high rate of fire, but it is still definitely recommended to go for the headshots. Not just because of the extra damage, but because your body shot damage just so low. And it's also reflected in the relation, like when you're looking at the real damage values, you have 3.25 multiplier for headshots. Yeah, and that's kind of extreme. But yeah, that's actually it for the commentary on the weapon itself. Yeah, now onto the potential pistol rebalance. In my opinion, pistols could be rebalanced by, or at least makes them more viable to use and more reliable in close quarter situations for body shots by simply cutting back that body shot multiplier to 1. And then you will have some pretty good initial and medium damage, and won't be stuck in the situations where it's basically headshot or dead. Then you can also potentially survive when you're not able to land the headshots, because in some situations it's pretty hard to land a headshot when your enemy is moving to the left or right, or just moving in an erratic fashion. And you can simply balance out the long range damage, which of course also would increase when you set the multiplier for body shots back to 1. You just manually decrease the headshot damage after increasing the body shot multiplier back to 1. So yeah, that's actually pretty simple. Okay, now on to the last topic, the top-up gifts. Well, as of now, the 93R, along with the MK301 and the Nosferatu, is only offered in those top-up gifts. Of course, those are pretty good for those that want to have the funds anyway. For example, new players to the game or just starting out and also want to buy some gear anyway. But there are also those kinds of players that actually don't really need the top-up gifts. That are either those that already have a quite good loadout and lots of gear, so they don't need more funds, or there might be those that actually have still some extra funds lying around, but they don't need more and just want to buy the weapon, but they are not able to, because the weapon is only offered in the top-up gifts. The way I see it, this is a marketing strategy to not only get newcomers to buy those, but potentially also some players that actually don't really need the funds, but want to have the weapon anyway. But the top-up gifts are in place for quite some time now, and I don't know how much longer they want to keep this up. But I just hope that the weapons will arrive in the store sooner or later, because as of now that's kind of a barrier to only make the weapon accessible to a certain group of players that are willing to take the way of the top-up gift. But in case those weapons will ever come to the store, it is recommended to be level 27 or above. Why? Because level 27 is the unlock level for the MK3A1 and the 93R. Yeah, and if you are not level 27, then you would have to pay the unlock price, and when you have to pay the unlock price, you have to decide if it's worth it. But yeah, if they come to store, be level 27 to have access to the normal price. That's everything that I have to say. Okay, that also rounds up the commentary as a whole. I hope this was to some extent useful, and perhaps you learned something that you did not know before. Have fun on the battlefield and don't be a catfish. Goodbye.